Good morning, welcome to Axiom Flux News, live with myself PJ, Blackhole Bridger and Dom. And we've got Blackhole to start us off. Hello Blackhole.
Good evening all. First article is about our boys in blue. Police sergeant pictured parking on double yellow line so he could buy snacks in a co-op supermarket. Policeman parked on double yellow lines in Clackmannanshire. Sergeant parked car outside co-op supermarket and went inside store. He was seen using self-service till to buy food and then returned to car. Locals claimed there were other legal spaces he could have parked in. Earlier he was photographed.
Yeah, can you see the photograph there?
Yes, yeah. A policeman was caught parking on double yellow lines outside a supermarket, and he then appeared pop into the store to pick up some snacks. The police sergeant was seen pulling up on the yellow lines outside the cooperative supermarket in Clackmannanshire, and then going into the supermarket. Minutes later he was pictured returning to his car after having come out of the store with a handful of drinks and snacks. Fine example.
Yes, from there.
Yeah. Earlier he was photographed using the self-service till inside the store. But locals claimed there were plenty of legitimate parking spaces nearby on Friday evening, and said they did not understand why he had to park on the double yellow lines, which is prohibited. One man who did not want to be named said, "He's a senior cop, so he should be setting an example. He was only in for a few minutes, but that's not the point. There were perfectly good spaces just around the corner, and it was hardly an emergency. When you wear the uniform, you should respect it by obeying the laws, like everyone else."
Well, that's just it. Because they're upholding the law, they think the law doesn't apply to them.
Yeah, well, somebody should get the message through to them that they should be more showing the example and setting the example for others to follow.
Well, that's the thing though. There's many people out there. I mean, I'll just give you an example. One of them, many people are quite popular with. Let's see if I can get that up there. Possibly not, but.
I mean, it's incredulous that they think they can just do as they please because they're wearing a uniform.
Nobody is above the law. Nobody is above the law.
That's it. That's one of them. old IDS.
Exactly. Nobody is above the law. It don't matter what office they hold, they still are not above the law.
I might have to send him an email if I can get hold of his details. With a link to a video.
After using the till, the sergeant was then seen to emerge from the store with his snacks. The double yellow lines are there for a reason. And they are there for a reason, because if you park there, you're obviously going to obscure other traffic coming, and there could be a fatal accident caused because you're parked in that position where you are not supposed to be. And so, the only exceptions are to change a flat tyre if instructed by police, or in a genuine emergency. A spokesman for Police Scotland said, We will review these pictures to establish the full circumstances, and if required, liaise with the professional standards department. Well,
that one happened to be the one that Don reported about the other day, were it? The ones that drive around and park on double yellow lines?
yeah. For anybody that don't know,
you're a bit faded though, I'll give him that. He might say that he didn't really spot them, he couldn't really work out if they were double yellow lines. He could probably use that one.
Yeah.
Well, if they doesn't know they're double yellow lines, then I was expecting the rest of us to know.
They're above the law.
For anybody that don't know where Clackermanshire is, Dollar is a town, and it's based at the foot of the Ock Hills. Yeah, it's near the River Devon, 6 miles northeast of Alloa.
Yeah.
About 41 miles northeast of Edinburgh. Or 40 miles.
Around.
The question is, guys, is did he pay? And how did he pay? Because he's not meant to carry money. They're not meant to carry money, are they, Paul?
I don't know on that score.
Well, as far as I'm aware, I don't think they are. They're not allowed to accept gifts off anybody either.
They have gold cards, MPs. Gold cards.
Right.
Yep, there you go. On to your next one.
Okay. Right. A man, 36, arrested over sex abuse allegations by MP's wife Karen Danczuk, 31, who claims she was assaulted hundreds of times as a child. Mrs. Danczuk is the wife of an anti-child sex abuse MP, Simon Danczuk. Claims she was raped and sexually assaulted at her home in Manchester. Greater Manchester Police arrested and questioned the man this afternoon. The man, who lives a few miles from Mrs. Danczuk, had been bailed until April the 30th. Yeah, it's a 36-year-old man arrested in connection with sex abuse allegations made by MP's wife Karen Danczuk has been released on bail. Mrs. Danczuk, 31, who is the wife of anti-child sex abuse MP Simon Danczuk, claims she was raped and sexually assaulted hundreds of times as a child at a family home in Manchester. The man, who lives a few miles from Mrs. Danczuk, was arrested by Greater Manchester Police today, and he has now been bailed until April the 30th. Mrs. Danczuk tweeted today, "For all those who doubted me, publicly slated me and made me feel like scum for coming out, I will never forgive and never forget." And they say it's I feel for the young lady if she was sexually assaulted, because it scars one's psyche for the rest of their lives. Mrs. Danczuk, who has become well known for Twitter selfies showing off her ample cleavage, claims the abuse took place between 1989 and 1995, when she was aged between 6 and 12. She said she was regularly abused in the bedroom of her family home in Middleton, Greater Manchester, shortly after her parents' marriage broke up. Her father, Martin Burke, now 73, moved out, leaving Mrs. Danczuk 3 older brothers and an older sister, with their mother, Susan Burke. Mrs. Danczuk's claims were branded as figment of her imagination by her mother, as well as 2 of her 4 siblings who challenged her story. You see, this is it. The poor child don't seem ever to be believed, and a lot of children just don't speak out for that reason, for fear they're not going to be believed, because they believe that the adult word will carry more than their word. The family feud erupted this week as Mrs. Danczuk publicly claimed her cleavage-bearing selfies were rooted in the abuse she suffered as a child. She told the Mail on Sunday her selfies are a defiant way of saying I'm sexy and I'm in control now. But Mrs. Burke, 58, called her daughter an attention seeker, which led Mrs. Danczuk to report her claim to the police as a matter of urgency to prove I am telling the truth. Today she told the Mail on Sunday that she felt more numb than angry, and her rage is instead directed at her mother. So this poor lady, she has been abused, as she alleges. She's got to go through this whole circus of am I going to believe, am I not going to be believed? It's hell all over again, and it's if being victimised all over again when they come out with the allegations. She told the newspaper, I am not a fantasist, I am telling the truth. I was raped or sexually abused hundreds of times. She did nothing to protect me and I will never forgive her. Asked why she had waited 2 decades to name her attacker, she said, because I am still coming to terms with it. It is a very difficult thing to confront, as any paedophile victim will know. Caroline Ward of Greater Manchester Police said, we work hard to support victims of sexual offences and thoroughly investigate all reports of sexual abuse and rape, no matter how long ago they happened. We will do everything we can to support victims and bring offenders to justice. Does this apply to Melanie Shaw, the poor young lady that was in the care home as a child that was repeatedly abused? She was abused over and over again, and not just sexually abused, but physically and mentally abused. She's a survivor and a whistleblower.
Yeah.
She stated that besides sexual and physical abuse, children were suicided and murdered. Police started Operation Daybreak. Victims' numbers grew, and Nottinghamshire County Council paid out $250,000 in compensation to 25 people. Melanie received a friendly warning that if she isn't quiet, they will take her son. After a report from Melanie, his neighbour, they took her son into care. Social services brand Melanie as mentally ill, and her son is put into a foster care, and they brand Melanie as mentally ill and try to section her. Police state that it's likely that it's over 90 children that was abused at Beechwood Children's Care Home. But police failed to carry out a full forensic investigation of the site, and despite the number of documented suicides at Beechwood Care Home, they failed to start any murder investigations. And very shortly after that, the council sold the property. Melanie then discovers that they were lying over Operation Daybreak investigation. Then Melanie is accused of setting fire to a neighbour's shed. There's the garden shed, that is, that's more or less attached to the house, and accused of damage to neighbour's house through throwing paint at the house.
Can I just say, the screen's gone blank. Is Paul still here?
Yeah. Wait, is it not coming
back
up?
on now, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
No, I'll try and get it back working.
No 999 call existed in the log of the fire in Nottinghamshire Fire Service records, and the police and press reports are incorrect. As today of the so-called fire, neighbours cannot remember any fire engines in the road. Melanie was charged and bailed with restriction on approaching her neighbour. Melanie's neighbour comes to Melanie's house, so Melanie calls the police to report it because of her bail conditions. The police asked Melanie to report to the police station. On doing so, Melanie Shaw was arrested and held in secret. It was only when the UK column phoned to report Melanie was missing that the police said that they had Melanie Shaw in custody. Melanie languished for 3 months in prison, enduring solitary confinement, and didn't have no medical. The medical care was denied her. She had to use J-cloths as bandages on her leg. She was denied her proper medication of Valium, which she has needed since the abuse as a child sex abuse victim, which she was getting from her doctor before she was put into jail. So there was a lack of proper care, and was bullied and tagged and bailed. At Nottingham Crown Court, she was found guilty of arson and criminal damage, reckless criminal damage. Evidence flawed. There was no mention of an ongoing arson in the area. No fire expert is called. No defence character witness are called. Her long-time psychiatrist is not called. Handwriting expert cannot confirm beyond a reasonable doubt. All fingerprints are not investigated by police. Judge sleeps, and then he tells the jury and the court that Nottinghamshire Police Operation Daybreak was a conspiracy theory. Melanie was placed on remand and kept tagged and under night curfew. Melanie Shaw is sentenced at Nottingham Crown Court to 3 years probation, and the judge states he is not sending her to prison because he is satisfied she is mentally ill and delusional. The Beechwood Residence Children's Home, now the records have been sealed for 75 years. And many other care homes have been sealed from between 50 to 80 years. What are they hiding to seal them for such a long time? Melanie was picked up again by Nottinghamshire Police and taken to a mental health hospital, and a mental assessment was done on her. She was threatened with being sectioned under Section 136 of the Mental Illness Act. Melanie Shaw is being abused all over again by UK's institutions or the authorities. Since Melanie Shaw's release from remand in Nottinghamshire, police have been constantly following and harassing her. She's been getting malicious telephone calls and has had her door smashed in by the mob of aggressive male officers, and possessions taken. Arrested and her phone taken and kicked out of the police station with no money or phone right late at night. Melanie is being terrorised by Nottinghamshire Police and feeling insecure with her bashed-in door. Melanie has now been rearrested and is languishing yet again in prison. The private bail company has stated that she has not broken any of her terms and bail conditions. So at this moment in time, it is unclear as to why she has been thrown yet again into prison. I ask for everybody to write to keep her spirits up. This poor lady is being abused all over again. She's been fitted up. It's obvious she's been fitted up the way everything has gone. So I urge you, the address will be put in the description at the bottom. But if you want to write to her, I'll read you the address. If you got a pen and paper ready, it is Melanie Shaw. Her prison number is A4126 Delta Echo. Peterborough Prison, SAVILE Road, Peterborough. The postcode is Papa Echo 3 7 Papa Delta. I'll read that once more for you just in case you did not catch it. It's Melanie Shaw, prison number Alpha 4126 Delta Echo, Peterborough Prison, SAVILE Road, Peterborough. Postcode is Papa Echo 3 7 Papa Delta.
Okay, thank you for that, Blackhole. Yeah, do write to her.
It's just incredulous, is it not, that
an abuse victim, whistleblower. You got judges falling asleep. I mean, she's had a worst case of a fair trial, if you want to call it that, that I've ever known.
Yeah, but for the judge, even to say it's that the Operation Daybreak is a conspiracy theory, what right has he got to tell the jury that? He has no right whatsoever.
Oh, no.
And for there to be no log at the fire station of there being any fire, so therefore, if there's nothing in the fire station's log, it's obvious there was no fire engines went out.
Yeah.
Neighbours were questioned and they don't know anything about any fire engines being there. This young lady is being fitted up and she's being abused all over again. My heart goes out to Melanie, it really does. Anyway, that's that article. Who am I passing over to, Dom?
No, I'll take it from here, Blackhole. Okay, my first article to start us off with is the new ISIS video, and it apparently shows the Kurdish fighters in cages. So this is just an image of the alleged video where a YouTube grab shows a man warning against fighting ISIS. See people in the cages there. I haven't seen the video, I don't watch the videos, I just follow the propaganda, or whatever you want to call it, as it gets put out. So this is Baghdad. The jihadi group ISIS released a new video yesterday on Sunday purporting to show captured Kurdish Peshmerga fighters paraded through Iraqi streets in cages. The video shows 21 captives presented as 16 Peshmerga fighters, 2 Iraqi army officers and 3 policemen from Kirkuk. The captives in orange jumpsuits with their heads lowered are led to cages in a square surrounded by concrete walls. Unmasked ISIS fighters. The bearded man in a white turban warns the Peshmerga against fighting ISIS. then the caged captives are shown being paraded through the streets on the back of pickup trucks as dozens of residents and armed men look on. The date and location is not specified in the video, but Kurdish sources says it was filmed a week earlier in the main market of Hawija, an ISIS-held town some 50 km from Kirkuk. The video does not contain any explicit threats to the captives, but they are shown at the end kneeling before masked men holding automatic weapons or pistols. Peshmerga commander in Kirkuk, General Hayoa Rash, told the AFP that the Peshmerga hostages had been captured on January the 31st, when Kurdish fighters repelled a terrorist attack by ISIS targeting Kirkuk. Meanwhile, multiple bombings, including a suicide truck bomb attack on Shiite militiamen, killed 19 people in Iraq yesterday on Sunday as people found 4 bodies with gunshot wounds in the capital, officials said. Police officials said the deadliest attack took place in the afternoon when a suicide bomber drove his explosive-laden truck into a checkpoint manned by Shiite militias near the city of Tikrit. 8 militiamen were killed and at least 15 wounded in the attack. Tikrit, which fell under the control of ISIS last summer, is 130 km north of Baghdad. Iraqi security forces and Shia militiamen now control most of the areas and roads leading to Tikrit, but have yet to retake the city. Elsewhere, a bomb exploded near an outdoor market in Uishba, just south of Baghdad, killing 2 people and wounding 10 others. Police said another bomb blast on a commercial street in Baghdad's southeastern districts of Zanafraya killed 2 people and wounded 6 others. At night, a car bomb exploded near a string of car repair shops in Baghdad's western district of Baya, killing 7 people and wounding 14 others. There have been many attacks with bombs involving bombs. And the image of a video that's apparently been released showing Kurdish fighters in cages. So moving on to my next one. It's Turkish troops and 100 tanks into Syria to relocate Ottoman tomb believed threatened by ISIS. So an image of the tank there. Turkish Army's armoured vehicles and tanks driving to the Syrian town of Ain al-Arab, also known as Kobane, as they return from the Ottoman tomb in Syria. Hundreds of Turkish troops backed by tanks took part in an overnight operation into neighbouring Syria to evacuate dozens of besieged soldiers guarding an Ottoman tomb and remove the remains amid fears the shrine was threatened by Islamic State of Iraq and al-Sham militants. The mission late Saturday, saving Turkish soldiers reportedly struck 4 months at the tomb of the grandfather of the founder of the Ottoman Empire. He was the first such major military insurgent by Turkey since the Syrian conflict began in March of 2011. The Turkish Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoglu said nearly 600 Turkish soldiers on some 100 tanks and armoured personnel carriers crossed into Syria near the border town of Kobane late Saturday as drones and airplanes flew reconnaissance missions overhead. One group travelled to the tomb some 35 kilometres from Turkey on the banks of the Euphrates River in Syria's embattled Aleppo province, he said. And the group seized an area of only 200 metres from the Turkish border in Syria's Ashma region to be the new home for the tomb, according to a statement from President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's office. 1 soldier was killed in an accident during the operation, Turkey's military said. Before the Turkish flag was lowered at the tomb, the Turkish flag started to be waved at another location in Syria. He said troops destroyed the complex once housing the tomb. Turkish media later showed nationalistic images of 3 Turkish soldiers raising the country's flag at a new site. There. It's the Middle Eastern news. This one's the Kalashnikov looking into drones and boats production. So the famous, well-known company renowned for making the legendary AK-47 assault rifle is branching out to make drones. In a diversification effort, the group is even looking into rockets and pleasure boats. So our main product here will be intelligence gathering unmanned planes, helicopters and aerostats. The CEO of Kalashnikov concern said at the International Defence Exhibit in Abu Dhabi is Alexei Krivakru or something like that. You know, the drones would be used to help with the border control, reconnaissance and rescue missions. I always just to make the viewers laugh when they hear me trying struggling with them. Choose your weapon RT visits Kalashnikov as it gears up to make new army rifle. With the UAV, unmanned air vehicle market, one of the biggest expanding markets in the defence industry, the company believes it is time for them to enter production. The acquisition of the Russian Zala Aero Company, which specialises in making unmanned aircraft, will help provide the Kalashnikov Group with expertise. The decision is to purchase a controlling stake in Zala Aero was made to widen our product line. This is part of the strategy of the Kalashnikov's concerns development through the year 2020, and also part of the process of developing new sectors of our market. The odd name that I struggle to say while he said that. There's a few more images here. Finally, it says the concern for Kalashnikov is Russia's largest producer of military automatic and sniper weapons and is guided artillery shells, as well as a wide range of civil products including hunting and sporting rifles, machinery and tools. The group currently sells its products to nearly 30 countries around the globe. Straight out of the movie They Live, if you've seen that.
It's rather concerning as if they actually cross the AK with a drone. We've got a bit of a killing machine there, have we not?
Yeah. Mass production of killing machines, I think Kalashnikov is looking into, in my opinion. Okay, next article is leaked files covering 2005 to 2007 show the bank chief executive sheltered £5 million of his own money at a Panamanian company with Swiss HSBC accounts. Here he is in the image there. His name's Stuart Gulliver in Hong Kong in 2012 is the image. Leaked files show that the HSBC chief executive was a client of the bank's Swiss subsidiary at the centre of the scandal. Gulliver, and chief executive of HSBC, was vowed to reform the crisis-hit bank, sheltered millions of pounds in a Swiss account through a Panamanian company, and remains tax domiciled in Hong Kong. Leaked files show that the Derby-born Gulliver, who is due to present HSBC's annual report on Monday, which will be interesting, in the wake of the international controversy over its Geneva-based private bank, was also one of its clients, holding about £5 million in a Swiss account. The bank executive was listed as the beneficial owner of an account in the name of Worcester Equities Incorporated, an anonymous company registered in Panama. containing a balance in 2007 of $7.6 million. It was through this entity that Gulliver's HSBC bonuses were paid until 2003. He also held a second account in the name of Worcester Foundation, which had been closed just before 2007, not far from the recession. Although now based in the UK, where HSBC has its headquarters, Gulliver is domiciled in Hong Kong for legal and tax purposes. The banking details have emerged as the 55-year-old Oxford University graduate, who became chief exec in January 2011, is due to face questions from reporters and investors for the first time since The Guardian and other media outlets published the leaked HSBC files, which revealed misconduct at the bank's Swiss subsidiary. The documents covering 05 and 07 years detailed how the private bank was complicit in tax evasion and aggressive tax avoidance, doled out bricks of cash in mixed currencies to clients, and provided banking services to criminals, drug smugglers, and friends and families of dictators. Gulliver has already personally signed a sincere apology, which appeared in 3 newspapers last Sunday, saying, "The standards to which we operate today were not universally in place in our Swiss operations 8 years ago." The bank is expected to announce on Monday full-year profits for 2014 in excess of £13 billion. The Gulliver's total compensation package has been predicted to be around £7.5 million, although it was reported over the weekend that he may surrender some of his remuneration because the bank agreed to pay fines to settle unrelated allegations of foreign exchange rigging last year. In response to queries from The Guardian about his personal account as revealed in the leaked files, a representative for Gulliver said he had made use of HSBC's suite account to hold his bonus payments prior to 2003 when he moved from Hong Kong to London. Lawyers for Gulliver said that Hong Kong tax had been paid on his income, and explained that he followed this procedure because he wanted his tax bonus earnings to remain private from his then colleagues in Hong Kong, which they would have not done if he had kept them in an HSBC Hong Kong account. The Guardian asked Gulliver why he used a Panamanian company to hold the funds, given Swiss accounts already offer secrecy. His lawyers declined to answer. Gulliver's legal representatives added that his Swiss accounts have, for a number of years, been voluntarily declared to UK tax authorities. They declined to specify the exact date they were first declared. Gulliver is also among those current and former clients of HSBC Suite who take advantage of non-dom status. Gulliver is a registered non-dom based on his long residence in Hong Kong, now a special administrative region of China, which he considers to be his own, despite his UK-based position. A representative of Gulliver said, "Having lived there since the 1980s, our client has become a permanent Hong Kong resident with right of abode, as his wife, who is an Australian national. Hong Kong continues to be their home, albeit that our client now works primarily in the UK. As a matter of law, our client is domiciled in Hong Kong. Non-dom status can confer several tax advantages on those who claim the status compared with those domiciled in the UK. These include advantages in how inheritance tax is applied, but can also exempt worldwide income earned from outside the UK from incurring UK taxes, a system known as remittance basis." A lot of names, a lot of things, one of them involving Ed Miliband.
Well, I personally think Gulliver's Travels should go straight to jail. Don't pass go, straight to jail.
Well, all they seem to be bothered about are these loopholes. Oh, well, we've closed so many loopholes since, you know. But it's not just the loopholes, because it's just the principle of the point, really, is it's illegal. You shouldn't be doing it.
All of his excuse is just a cop out anyway, saying 8 years ago it were different. You know, the practices were in place today as it was 8 years ago. I mean, that's just a cop out. It's only 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, 8 years ago, we're Stone Age. We're Stone Age 8 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, he's still not paying his taxes at the end of the day. He's still avoiding them, whether it's aggressive, passive, no matter what exotic name they want to give it, is avoiding taxes.
Yeah, Panama's a tax haven, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, my next one. This is around the world. Bicyclist hit and killed by truck. World record hopes ended brutally when bicyclist killed by pickup truck who did not see him in Nakhon Ratchashima. A Chilean intercontinental cyclist who expected to complete a world record this year was killed when hit by a pickup truck on Mitrapat Road on Saturday. His wife and 2-year-old son Lucas sustained minor injuries. Police said the Chilean was Francisco Villa, aged 48. Villa and his family had made a rest stop at a police checkpoint in Conkenspon district on Saturday morning before heading off to Nakhon Ratchashima with the bicycle pulling a carriage before they left the checkpoint. Villa told the policeman he would later travel to Australia. The accident happened when a speeding pickup truck driven by Tiwara Ratchasipati, aged 64, scraped the bicycle on the roadside. The cyclist was thrown from the bicycle and died on the spot. His body was sent to Buyai Hospital for autopsy. The bicycle was totally destroyed while the pickup truck crashed into a ditch and overturned. Mr. Tirawat, the driver of the truck, who escaped unscathed, told police he was travelling from Konkan to Nakhon Ratchasima and did not see the bicycle. Police have charged him with careless driving, resulting in death and injury. So it was due to finish in November, I think. So, according to a sign on the bicycle set up, Villa planned to set a Guinness World Record and 250,000 kilometres around the world in 5 years. The unsponsored around the world bike trip started in November 2010. The Chilean had cycled about 140,000 kilometres. The sign also said the Chilean met his wife along the way and had rested while she had a baby. In 2013, round the world, British cyclist Peter Root and Mary Thompson died when they were struck by a pickup truck in Kalashnikov, or whatever it says. The pickup truck driver admitted that his vehicle hit the British couple while he was reaching down to pick up a mobile phone. So almost complete of his Guinness World Record and came to a tragic end.
Well, thanks for the facts too. Well,
For the what, sorry?
for the facts.
What do you mean?
The pop-ups.
Oh no, interesting, aren't they? Child kidnappings have soared by almost a fifth, police figures show. Child kidnappings have soared by almost a fifth, police figures have revealed. Let's see what this is all about, because many people have got a lot of things in their head right now, wondering what it is I'm going to be covering.
Is that the state child kidnapping?
Well, let's look into it, because it's interesting. The number kidnapped in England, Wales and Northern Ireland rose to 321 in 2013 to 14, right, up by 50 on the previous year. The total of children abducted increased from 516 to 573. kidnapping, unlike adoption, involves force or fraud. The figures were compiled after a Freedom of Information request 44 police forces by the charity Parents and Abducted Children Together. The charity's research director, Jeff Newis, said the rises were alarming, but may have been due to victims being more likely to report crimes. He added that changes in the way police record abductions may also be a factor. He also stressed that abduction and kidnapping are relatively rare. Of the 573 attempted and successful abductions recorded by the 40 forces that provided figures, at least 401 did not involve the child's parents. Susanna Drury, police director for Charity Missing People, urged families to sign up for child rescue alerts, which help to raise the alarm when children vanish. So there you go, it's just a short piece. And I wasn't really expecting it to go into the state, but it doesn't really tell you, because if you look at the figures here, out of the 573, at least 401 was not involved, you know, with any relative or parent. So,
The state kidnapping is far greater than that.
no. Oh yeah, I suspect it could be. Okay, my next one, and my final one before I hand it over to Dom, is watch. Sir Malcolm Rifkind says he's self-employed but gets MP's salary of £67,000. Sir Malcolm Rifkind says you'd be surprised how much free time I have, as describes himself as self-employed despite receiving a £67,000 MP salary. I've got a video here. Just give me a minute, I'll get my audio ready.
See, he's wearing austerity.
Yeah. Okay, let's go for it.
Because I'm not a minister or full-time working for one person, I can sort out my day. I'm self-employed, so nobody pays me a salary. I have to earn my income, but when I'm not doing something, I can do what I like.
That were a Channel 4 Dispatchers video, by the way.
Yes, his salary, yeah, he's getting all that.
Malcolm. Well,
I wish I could
there you
get
go.
67,000 for doing nothing.
Well, he's got to earn it, hasn't he? So, gets a lot of free time though, so that'll be alright for him. Alright, Dom, over to you. I just wrapped up mine.
Yep, thanks. First article, Labour would win this seat even with a raving alcoholic sex paedophile, says outgoing MP. This is Austin Mitchell, MP for Labour, picture of him here. If you've not seen him before, this is him.
With the
Politician.
rainbow tie.
You what, sorry?
With the rainbow tie.
Yeah, yeah. Politicians will do anything to get noticed, certainly with that tie, yeah. However, we don't think any party would benefit from having an alcoholic or paedophile as an MP. Veteran Labour MP Austin Mitchell claimed the party would hold on to his great Grimsby seat at the general election, even if I chose a raving alcoholic sex paedophile as his candidate. Mr Mitchell, who is standing down at the election, made his comments in an interview with The Independent on Sunday, in which he asked about the prospects of UKIP taking the conservative way it is mounting a strong challenge. There is no chance we'll lose Grimsby. Even if we selected a raving alcoholic sex paedophile, we wouldn't lose Grimsby, he told the paper. His bizarre comments were condemned by UKIP candidate Victoria Aylin, who accused him of taking voters for granted. Austin Mitchell has been a respected constituency MP but he's assuming that people don't think very carefully about how they vote. People do think very carefully, and I don't like Mr. Mitchell insulting the people of Grimsby, she told the paper. Mr. Mitchell responded by accusing the Independent on Sunday of bad journalism, saying his comment was a response to an attack on Grimsby and the Labour candidate Melanie Shaw. Making summation of note, he wrote on his Twitter feed, was a response to an attack on Grimsby and Mel. Grimsby's loyal, Labour and great. But that don't excuse his comments though. Alcoholic, raving, paedophile. I mean, what's that got to do with anything? I mean, it's just weird words. Well, that's Austin Mitchell, yeah. Moving on. Danny Alexander calls for corporate tax evasion crackdown. Companies that fail to prevent tax evasion could face penalties as part of plans announced by Danny Alexander. The Liberal Democrat Chief Secretary to the Treasury aims to introduce a new offence for firms that fail to act to prevent economic crime. Mr. Alexander told the Andrew Marr Show he wants organisations that encourage or facilitate tax evasion to face the same penalties as evaders themselves. The proposed crackdown comes in the wake of HSBC tax dodging allegations. It emerged earlier this month that the bank had allegedly helped hundreds of people evade UK tax rules and hidden HSBC accounts in Geneva. Former Director of Public Prosecutions, Lord Ken MacDonald, said the bank had left itself open to criminal charges in the UK and there were strong grounds to investigate the bank for cheating HM Review and Customs. He added that HMRC's decision not to prosecute was seriously flawed. Mr. Alexander said, we should create a new offence of corporate failure to avoid preventing economic crime and also say that organisations who facilitate or encourage evasion should face the same penalty as the evaders themselves. He described it as a Liberal Democrat idea but intends to try to push the proposal through before May's general election. If he cannot, they will form a key part in the Lib Dem manifesto. Well, here's a little video about it. You're there, PJ.
Yep, I do it. Okay. See how many adverts we get.
There are a couple of areas where we should be looking to strengthen this because, you know, just like someone who helps a pickpocket pick your pocket is committing a crime, so someone who's facilitating evasion also should be doing the same. And so I'm proposing today that we should create a new offence of corporate failure to avoid preventing an economic crime, and also that organisations who facilitate evasion or who encourage evasion should face the same level of financial penalty as the evaders themselves, that way creating a much stronger disincentive to companies helping people do that.
So this would catch the private banks, the very, very clever accountants and lawyers who work with people to help them avoid paying the taxes that they legally owe.
The idea is this precisely would catch those people, organisations, be they accountants, banks or whatever, who help people evade tax will be liable for this new offence and crucially liable for financial penalties. So that, for example, if their customers have to pay back hundreds of millions of pounds in tax, then those organisations should have to match that with hundreds of millions of pounds of their own money. And I think that's a very tough disincentive to them to get involved in this in the first place. This is taboo. This is something which absolutely mustn't happen in our society. And we still have a problem with some people thinking they can get away without paying their fair share of tax.
Okay, that was Danny Alexander talking to Andrew Marr, the Andrew Marr Show.
I mean, what's going to happen with HSBC? I mean, so they're going to get away with it, aren't they? And new laws are going to come in after, like as usual. Because they're not going to be doing it again, are they? Right.
No.
Yeah,
No, they're being caught.
But I bet they only hammer the small to middle-sized companies. They won't go for the big boys.
Well, don't have an account with HSBC, anyone? Right, moving on. Girl as young as 7 kills herself and 5 others in Nigeria suicide bombing. Attack on market in northeastern town of Posiskum is latest in string of attacks blamed on Boko Haram, in which children have been used. A girl thought to be as young as 7 killed herself and 5 others in a suicide bombing in northeast Nigeria on Sunday as the country's president, Goodluck Jonathan, conceded that his government had underrated the capacity of the Islamist extremist group Boko Haram. The attack on a market in the town of Peterborough is the latest in a string of suicide strikes in which children are being used. Previous attacks have been blamed on Boko Haram. 19 people were injured in the blast in Yobe State's commercial capital, a local vigilant leader said. So far, 5 people were killed with a girl, while 19 others have been taken to hospital for injuries, Bubalowan said. A hospital source speaking on the condition of an amateur confirmed the toll. The bombing highlights the severe security challenges facing Nigeria in the run-up to presidential and parliamentary elections on 28th of March. During a trip through neighbouring Chad, Cameroon and Niger, the French Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius on Sunday urged Nigeria to commit itself fully to battling Boko Haram. It is necessary that there will be full commitment from Nigeria in the fight against Boko Haram, he told reporters during a press conference in Niger's capital, Niamey. On Saturday, the Chadian capital, N'Djamena, Fabius visited a coordination cell set up a French military base between Cameroon, Chad, Niger and France. Paris has promised to increase intelligence sharing and other assistance to the armies of Nigeria and its 3 neighbours, which banded together to battle Boko Haram after the extremists expanded their campaign against the region's borders. Jonathan, who has been in office since 2011, is in a tough re-election campaign against former military ruler Muhammadu Buhari. Voting, initially scheduled 14th February, has been delayed for 6 weeks to give Nigeria's military time to secure the country, despite its failure to beat Boko Haram back over the past 6 years. Jonathan admitted in an interview published on Sunday that he had underestimated the Islamists, who have overrun swaths of the northeast. Probably at the beginning, I mean myself and the team, we underrated the capacity of Boko Haram, Jonathan told the newspaper this day. He said the military has recently acquired more arms and ammunition and vowed that Boko Haram's defeat was imminent. Sunday's bombing in Peterborough was a second suicide attack in or near the market where new and second-hand phones are sold and repaired. So, yeah, more than 13,000 people have been killed and more than 1 million people left homeless since 2009 as the rebels try to carve out Islamic State. I mean, Nigeria has 10% of the world's Christians living there. So they'll be killed if they do get took over. Or they'd have to leave, really. So that, yeah, girls young as 7 send just to a suicide bomber. Next article is man filmed repeatedly hitting his dog in broad daylight. This footage shows a man repeatedly punching his dog in the middle of the street. Released by the RSPCA, it shows a man's pet sitting by the curb before being hit at least 4 times by the cruel owner. RSPCA Inspector Laura Saw said, "You can clearly see the dog being punched in the head with some considerable force several times. The dog shows clear signs of fear. We are very concerned about his or her welfare." Some pictures here. We'll go on to strike the dog in that picture. After meting out more abuse, he walks away casually. The incident happened in Checks Road, Norwich, at about 1:30 on February the 9th. Let's have a look. If anyone knows him, report him.
Oh, what?
Well, it looks a young pup, that.
Yeah.
Is it a Rottweiler or something like that?
No, I don't think it's a broad dog. I think it's just a small dog.
Yeah, it's a small dog. I mean, it is frustrating when your dog gets off that lead. It might have been accidental why it wasn't on the lead to start with, but, you know, if you leave the dog, it will eventually find its way home. It's an experience that I learnt from. But I'd never have gone as
Well,
far
it says
as
here the dog
hunting
was
dog
wandering
like
loose, and the man can be seen reaching down to put a lead on the collar before launching the attack. Inspectors do not know the breed, but think it's a bull type with white marking on the front leg and chest.
Yeah, looking at it, it looks like a staff.
Anyone with information should contact the RSPCA on 0300 123 8018. The number's there. So if you know him, ring that number. Right, the final article tonight is comic fan killed by an uppercut from Batman in tongue-in-cheek obituary. This is Larry Stephen Merrill. A man's love of comic books and inappropriate humour followed him to the grave recently when he died from an uppercut delivered by Batman himself. Obviously, that isn't really how Stephen Merrill, 31, died. However, his family were told they needed to provide a cause of death for his obituary to be published in the local paper. However, Stephen's sudden death was still being looked in at the time, so his family decided to pay tribute to the man who found humour in just about everything. That's why they opted for a death that Stephen from Florida would have loved. The editors of the Ledger initially refused to print it, but after meeting with the Merrill family, they instantly realised it would be a fitting tribute to their beloved son. So here's a picture of Jonathan, who was recovering from cancer, but his death was unexpected. He's having an autopsy in a minute. He would have been honoured to have died by an uppercut from Batman. His fiancée, Stephanie Fellis, told ABC. His family even said Stephen had superhero qualities, calling him a considerate and helpful person who always left an impression on people. So, died from an uppercut from Batman.
It sounds, in my opinion, suspected suicide, but
No, he was recovering from cancer. He's probably died from cancer-related
possibly.
illness.
Possibly.
He's not suicide. He's not suicide. He's not killed himself.
The death's unexpected. When you've got cancer and that, it's not really unexpected.
Yeah, his death was unexpected, but it's not suicide.
No, it doesn't mean to say that. No, in my opinion, I'm suspecting that it could probably be that, and that's the reason why they've told the paper to make it a bit humorous.
Well, his death was unexpected. He said he was recovering from cancer, but yeah, but that's him, Stephen Merrill, 31. Rest in peace. Yeah, that's my final. I'm done for tonight. Over to you, Paul. Thanks.
Alright, guys. Good articles there, Dom. Thanks for sharing them with us and yourself, Blackhole. That's all we've got time for on this episode of Flux News, but we will be back tomorrow with another round of Flux News for you, so do join us again. Till then, take care and look after yourselves.